So the Corangamite Shire Council has provided a submission into the state government's inquiry into the January 2026 bushfires. Their submission outlines 7 key recommendations that argue the scale and complexity of the January fires exposed serious weaknesses in Victoria's emergency management systems. I actually spoke to Councillor Nicole about this as a farmer and volunteer CFA firefighter for Darlington, and he told me about some of the experiences he had whilst fighting January's fires in Skipton and other areas of West Vic. He told me about the night after the Skipton fire broke out, where there was a fire truck sitting in the shed at the brigade not being used because it hadn't been put online, because the firefighters hadn't been able to do the training that was required to be able to use that fire truck. Although about 75% of them have been driving fire trucks for quite a long time. He actually told me that there were about 7 other fires going in the area that had been ignited from dry lightning that night, and that he decided in the end to get the truck and put it online because they needed the extra resource. Another major issue that firefighters were tackling whilst they were trying to tackle the fires themselves was the aging equipment that they have to use. A lot of it, according to Cole, is too old and too slow. And he actually described to me one of the vehicles that the Darlington crews were having to use that was more than 30 years old. He said it actually overheated in 40-degree weather during the Leslie Manor fire, and that the crew that were on it had to blow the radiator out every time they got a load of water just because the truck was overheating all the time. Another major issue during January's bushfires were mobile blackouts and not being able to reach certain areas in West Vic while there were fires happening because there was no mobile reception or adequate internet. So what have the council actually recommended for the inquiry? Well, it's to address these problems. They've called for major investment in upgrading CFA equipment, better training, improved communications and backup power for mobile towers and power lines. And they've also called for better early warning systems for fast-moving grass fires and more flexible, locally led recovery funding. This is particularly important because Victoria's 2024 Climate Science Report notes significant trends in fire weather across Victoria that have occurred since 1979, with an increase of at least 30% due to climate change. That heightened risk is mainly driven by rising temperatures leading to more extreme heat and 40-degree days like the ones we saw in January. Over those 50 years, Cole has been a volunteer firefighter, and he said he had also witnessed his fair share of large fires in the region over that time. He also said that we live in one of the worst bushfire and grass fire prone areas in the world, and when we get fires like these, they're totally different to a lot of fires in other spots. Especially on bad days, they can move so quick.